I am excited to welcome you to Mathematics Simplified. My name is Joseph Jacob. Today, we are going to start solving problems on quadratic equations. There are basically three methods of solving quadratic equations. The first one is the factorization method, which we are going to apply in this video. The second one is the formula method, which we'll focus on in our next video. And the last one is the use of graph in solving quadratic equations. Let's go to our whiteboard and start solving quadratic equations using the factorization method. Our first example for today is x squared plus 8x plus 15 equal to 0. Remember, we are going to use the factorization method in solving this problem. If you are going to use the factorization method, there are two numbers that are very important in this equation. The first important number is this 15. The second number is the coefficient of x, which is 8. If you are going to solve this problem, you must look for two numbers that when you multiply them, the answer will be 15. And when you add them, the answer will be 8. So what are the two numbers? If you do 3 plus 5, it will give you 8. And when you say 3 times 5, it will give you 15. So that number, that when it is multiplied, it will give you 15, and when you add it, they will give you 8, is 3 and 5. So having gotten these two numbers, 3 and 5, the next thing we need to do is just to draw two brackets. Because we have x squared here, you put one x in one of the brackets and the other x in the other bracket. All you need to do now is to put those two numbers in each of the brackets. So we can now say plus 3 plus 5. The big problem is, how do I know it's plus here? It's plus here. I didn't use any minus. I got it from the numbers I add. You look at the 15 is a positive number. The 8 is a positive number. So the answer we are going to get will be positive numbers because there is no negative sign in these two numbers we want to use. So in that case, we have x plus 3, x plus 5. The next thing we need to do is to take each of the brackets and solve for x. If we take the first bracket, we'll have x plus 3 equal to 0. So that x alone will mean that plus 3 will cross over to this place to become minus 3. For the second equation, you have x plus 5 equal to 0. So what it means is that when x is made the subject of the formula, plus 5 crosses over to become minus 5. So in this quadratic equation, the answer is x equal to minus 3 and minus 5. So that is the answer to this equation using the factorization method of solving simultaneous equation. Very simple, isn't it? Let's try to look at it again. When this equation was given to us, we focused on two numbers. One is 15. You notice the 15 doesn't have any x. And the other one is the coefficient of x here, which is 8. And what were we looking for? Two numbers that when we add them together, when we add these two numbers together, the answer will be 8. But when we multiply the two numbers, the answer will be 15. You know that if you want to get 8, 2 plus 6 can give you 8. But 2 times 6 cannot give you 15. 4 plus 4 can give you 8. But 4 times 4 cannot give you 15. So you must look for that pair of numbers that when you add them, you get 8. And when you multiply them, you get 15. And that is why we used 3 and 5. Because when we do 3 plus 5, we'll get 8. 3 times 5, we'll get 15. So 3 and 5 are the numbers. So what we need to do is to create two brackets. Place x in each of the brackets. Put the first number in the first bracket plus 3, the second number plus 5. X plus 3, x plus 5. We now take the two brackets individually. X plus 3 equal to 0. X will equal to plus 3 will cross over the equality sign to become minus 3. So x is equal to minus 3. The second bracket, x plus 5 equal to 0. So x becomes the subject of the formula. Plus 5 will cross over the equality sign to the right hand side of the equation to become minus 5. So x is equal to minus 3 or minus 5. That is the answer to that equation. Very simple, isn't it? Yes, it's always very simple if you have a positive sign for both numbers you are looking for. As we progress, we'll get into some problems that will be a bit challenging. That is where we'll be having the combination of a negative number and a positive number. You don't need to worry. We'll solve them simply and understandably as we just did this problem. Let's go to the second problem. This is our second problem for today. Y squared minus 7y plus 12 equal to 0. So like we did in the first problem, what we are looking for is for that number that when we add it together, it will give us 7. Now, not just 7, but minus 7. Take note of that sign, minus. And when we multiply the same number, it will give us 12. Not just 12, but positive 12. Now, in adding a number that will give us 7, we know that 3 plus 4 will give us 7. And 3 times 4 will give us 12. The problem now will be knowing which one should be minus and which one should be plus to give us what we want. We are saying that when you have 3 plus 4, it will give you 7. And when you have 3 times 4, it will also give you 12. These are the two numbers, 7 and 12. So we've gotten the two numbers that will give us 7 when we add and 12 when we multiply. But notice that this 12 is positive and the 7 is minus or negative. So these signs must have minus in them. These numbers, one must be negative to give us what we want. So how do we achieve that? You should know that when a negative number multiplies a negative number, the answer will be positive. So all we need is that both of the numbers will be negative. Now, if we have minus 3 times minus 4, what will it give us? Minus, we multiply minus to become a positive sign. 3 times 4 will give us 12. So minus 3 minus 4 will give us positive 12. Now let's try to add them and see whether we'll get minus 7. If we have minus 3 plus minus 4, what will it give us? Remember that this plus sign will be swallowed by the minus sign. So at the end of the day, you will have minus 3 minus 4 equal to what? As the same as what we have here. But if you don't want to be confused, let's leave it as it is like this. And now we're now saying that we are owing someone $3. We are owing some other person $4. When we try to add these two amounts we are owing, it will amount to 7. And that 7 will be a minus 7 because they are the amount of money we are owing somebody. They are not our own. So when we do minus 3 minus 4, it will give us what we want. It will give us negative 7. It will give us positive 12. Those are the numbers we are going to use to solve this problem. So what you need to do is just to open up two brackets. Now the next thing is this y squared is 2y. The y is at 2. So we put one of them here. We'll put the other one here. Now we'll come to the two numbers we've gotten. We place minus 3 here. We place minus 4 here. The next thing we need to do is to now handle each bracket individually. So we take the first bracket, y minus 3 equal to 0, so that y alone is equal to 3. The second bracket will give us y minus 4 equal to 0. Y alone will give us 4. Remember, minus 3 crossing over the equality sign will become positive 3. Minus 4 crossing over the equality sign will become positive 4. So in this equation, our answer will be y is equal to 3 or y is equal to 4 as our final answer. Very simple, isn't it? Okay, let's try another problem to see how far we'll be able to solve them. Perhaps after this third problem, you'll be asked to try the next one before we do it together. Let's look at this problem. Z squared minus 5z plus 4 equal to 0. Usually, our target numbers are plus 4 and minus 5. We are looking for two numbers that when we multiply them, they will give us plus 4. And when we add them, they will give us minus 5. It looks confusing, isn't it? To get 5, you might do 2 plus 3 will give you 5. But 2 times 3 will not give you 4. So, in trying to get the number, when you do 2 plus 3, it will give you 5, which is this. But when you do 2 times 3, it will give you 4. So the numbers cannot be 2 and 3. But when you do 4 plus 1, it will give you 5. And when you do 4 times 1, it will give you 4. Are you seeing it now? 4 plus 1 will give us 5. 4 times 1 will give us 4. So we've gotten the two numbers to be 4 and 1. The next thing we want to look at now is the signs. This is positive, this is negative. Remember, if this 4 is negative, minus 4 times 1 will give you minus 4 instead of plus 4, which we are looking for here. So what you need to do now is to also make this one a negative number. Minus 1. Minus times minus will be positive. 4 times 1 will be 4, so it will give you positive 4. At the same time, if you are adding it, plus minus 4 plus minus 1, you are owing someone $4, owing another person $4. When you bring them together, it will be minus 5. So we've gotten our answer, minus 4 minus 1. The next thing we need to do is to create the two brackets as we usually do. In one of the brackets, we place our z, one of the z or z. We place another z in the other bracket. So what we need to do now is to take one of these numbers, minus 4. Another one is minus 1. So in both brackets, we have z minus 4. And in the other one, in the first bracket, we have z minus 4. In the second bracket, we have z minus 1. So we take the brackets one by one and handle them. So you have z minus 4 equal to 0, so that z alone will equal to, when minus 4 crosses the equality sign, it becomes 4. Another one, you take the second bracket, z minus 1 equal to 0. Z alone, minus 1 will cross the equality sign to become 1. So our answer here is z is equal to 4 or z is equal to 1. That is the final answer. Very simple, isn't it? In the next question, you will pause your video and attempt solving the problem. After solving, resume play. Let's solve it together. Now look at this problem. T squared minus 4t minus 21 equal to 0. Please pause your video, attempt solving this problem, resume after solving. Let's do it together. So how did it go? Not too difficult, isn't it? Remember, our target numbers are 4 and 21. We are looking for two numbers. When we multiply them, we'll get 21. But when we add the same numbers, we'll get 4. Now, let's start with the 21. What are the numbers we can multiply to get 21? 21 times 21. 21 times 1, I beg your pardon, will give us 21. But 21 plus 1 will give us 22. It's not 4, so it won't work. We can also try 7 times 3 will give us 21, isn't it? 7 plus 3 will give us 10, not 4. But if we manipulate the negative and positive signs, 7 plus 3 can give us 4. In fact, that is what we are going to do right now. Now, look at it this way. If you have minus 7 and you have plus 3, when you do minus 7 times plus 3, it will give you minus 21 because of this minus here. And you will notice we have minus 21 here. Now, if you do minus 7 plus 3, what will it give you? This plus, opening this bracket, will give you minus 7 plus 3 alone. Now, minus 7, as we normally do in our videos, let it represent the money we are owing someone. So we are owing someone $7. Let plus 3 be the money we have, our own money, and we have plus 3. When we take our plus 3 or our $3 which we have to pay the person we are owing $7, we will still be owing the person $4, isn't it? So minus 7 plus 3 will still give us minus 4. So we've gotten what we want here, minus 4. So our numbers are minus 7 plus 3. What we need to do is to open both brackets. Open two brackets. What do we have here is t. We put one of the t's here and the other t here. The first number is minus 7. Our second number is plus 3. The next thing is to take one of the brackets. T minus 7 equal to 0. T alone is equal to, when minus 7 crosses over, it becomes 7. In the second bracket, T plus 3 equal to 0. T alone will equal to plus 3 crosses over to become minus 3. So T is equal to 7 or minus 3 as our final answer. Is it what you got? I hope so. If not, you must have seen where you got it wrong. Let's try another problem. Alright, z squared minus 4z or 4z plus 3 is our next problem, equal to 0. So we are looking for two numbers that when we add them, we'll get 4, minus 4. And when we multiply those same two numbers, we'll get plus 3. If we do 2 plus 2 will actually give us 4. But 2 times 2 won't give us 3. So it won't work. If we say 1 plus 3, it will give us 4. And if we say 1 times 3, it will give us 3. So this will work. Now, the next thing is to place the negative and positive signs in such a way that it will give us minus 4 and we'll get plus 3. For us to get plus 3, since this we'll get by multiplying, we need to know that both signs must be negative for us to get positive when we multiply. So it will help us to know that our 1 will be minus 1, our 3 will be minus 3 as well. And that will also help us when we now add those two negative numbers, it will now be minus 4. When we say minus 1 times minus 3, the minus will multiply the minus to become plus. 1 times 3 will give us 3. So we'll get a positive 3. And when we say minus 1 plus minus 3, we know that minus means number or amount we are owing, as we used to do in our illustration. So minus 3 and that minus 1, it will be now minus 4. We are owing $4, isn't it? So minus 1, minus 3 are the numbers we are looking for. Having gotten these numbers, what we just need to do is to open two brackets. What is the unknown? Z or Z. So we place one of the Z here, we place the other Z here. We have minus 1 as our first number, we place minus 1. The other one is minus 3. So when we take this first bracket, we'll have Z minus 1 equal to 0, Z alone equal to 1. When minus 1 crosses, it becomes 1. The second one is Z minus 3 equal to 0. Z alone will give us minus 3 crosses the equality sign to become 3. So in this equation, Z is either 1 or 3. That is the final answer. Very simple, isn't it? Let's try another problem. This is our next problem. M squared minus 2m equal to 3. Remember, the other problems we've been solving have always been equal to 0. So don't let this small change confuse you or intimidate you. All you need to do is to rearrange the equation so that you still get equal to 0. In doing that, you have m squared minus 2m as we usually have. The only thing we want to do, we want this 3 to cross over with other equation so that it will be equal to 0. So when this 3, which is positive, crosses over, it becomes minus 3 equal to 0. This has been the way we have been seeing other problems we are solving. So we can still rearrange it ourselves to get it so that we'll not feel confused about the problem. So what we've done now, we've seen that we have two numbers that are our problem. We want to get two numbers that when we multiply them, they will give us minus 3. And when we add them, they will give us minus 2. So how do we go about it? You know that when you say 3 times 1, it will give you 3. Then 3 plus 1 depending on the signs those numbers have, can give us minus 2. Let's try it. When you say minus 3 times positive 1, the answer will always be minus 3, as we have in our question. Now, when you say minus 3 plus 1, you'll now notice that if we use our illustration, which we are familiar with, $1 is mine, I'm owing somebody $3. Now, if I use this $1 to pay the person, I'm still owing the person how many dollars? 2. We've gotten this minus 2. So all we now need to do is, we've known that we've gotten our number minus our numbers minus 3 and 1. So we open our two brackets as usual. The unknown is m. We place one of the m's here. We place the other here. We now have minus 3. We now have plus 1. We now take the brackets one by one. We take this first. M minus 3 equal to 0. M alone will equal to 3, because minus 3 will cross over and change to positive 3. We take the second equation. M plus 1 equal to 0, so that m will equal to minus 1. When plus 1 crosses over, it becomes minus 1. So in this equation, the answer is m equal to 3 or minus 1. That is the final answer. Is it not very simple? I think so. Let's try another problem. Our next problem is s squared minus 10s minus 56 equal to 0. Please pause your video, attempt solving this problem. Resume play, let's solve it together. How did it go? I hope it was very simple, isn't it? The big challenge you will have is this number 56. Which two number will I multiply to get 56? And when I add them, I will get 10. Well, the easiest number you will multiply to get 56 will be 14 and 4. And if you check 14 and 4, the difference is 10. So that will give you the idea that if 14 times 4 can give me 56, 14 minus 4 can also give me 10, depending on the signs I use. So for the multiplication, we've gotten 14 times 4 will give us 56. But note that the 56 we have here is negative. This is positive, which means one of the numbers we are multiplying must be a negative number. To get this minus 56, we need to place minus on the bigger number, 14. So minus 14 times 4 will give us minus 56. So that we'll get this, minus 56. That will now guide us. When we now have minus 14 plus 4, because we want to get this, you now see when you use your 4 to pay for 14, you still have 10 which you have not paid for, isn't it? Good. So by doing so, we've now found out that minus 14 and 4 are the numbers we need to solve this problem. So the next thing we need to do is just to open two brackets. Open two brackets. Our unknown is s, so we place one s here, the other s here. We now place minus 14 here. We now place 4 plus 4 here. We take one of the brackets. S minus 14 equal to 0. S alone will equal to minus 14 crosses over to become a positive 14. In the second bracket, s plus 4 equal to 0. S alone means that 4 will cross over to become minus 4. So s is equal to either 14 or minus 4. Very simple. I hope you got it. That's fine. Our next problem is x squared plus 2x plus 1 equal to 0. So please just pause your video, solve the problem, then resume play. Let's solve it together. How did it go? Very simple, isn't it? So we are looking at two numbers. When we multiply them, the answer will be 1. And when we add them, the answer will be 2. Definitely, you will agree with me that 1 times 1 is equal to 1. And 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. So you see, it's very simple, isn't it? Now, all we need to do is to open two brackets. Open the first one, we open the second one. The first one we place our x, the second one we place our x. We take our first number plus 1, the second number is plus 1. When we take the brackets one by one, we'll now have x plus 1 equal to 0. X alone plus 1 will cross over to become minus 1. The same thing applies to the second bracket. X plus 1 equal to 0. X alone will equal to minus 1. So in this equation, our x is equal to minus 1 or minus 1. So that is the answer for that. Very simple, isn't it? Let's take the last problem we'll take for today. Our next problem, which will be the last for today, is x squared plus 2x plus 1 equal to 25. This problem is a bit different from the ones we've been solving. But don't be intimidated or confused. If you calm down, you'll understand that by rearranging the equation, you will come back to the type of problems we've been solving. So if you write down our x squared plus, write down our 2x plus 1, 25 will cross over to be minus 25 because it crossed the equality sign, equal to 0. So you have x squared plus 2x plus 1 minus 24 will give us minus 24, 0. So this has been the ones we are familiar with. So it means that we are looking for two numbers. When we multiply them together, we'll get 24. And when we add them together, we'll get 2. You also need to remember that the 24 is a negative number and the 2 is a positive number. When we do 6 times 4, we'll get 24. You also notice that the difference between 6 and 4 is 2. So when we have minus 4, it will enable us to have 6 times minus 4 will become minus 24. Remember, what we have here is minus. That is why I placed this minus. Now, if we have 6 plus minus 4, this minus will absolutely swallow this plus. So we have 6 minus 4 will give us 2. So we need 2 when we add, we've gotten plus 2. We need minus 24 when we multiply, we've gotten minus 24. I know one question that will be on your mind is, how did I know that it is the 4 that should have the minus? Why didn't I place the minus in 6? Minus 6. Now, look at how I know. This number is positive. Remember, I'm looking for two numbers that when I add them, they will give me plus 2, not minus 2. It means that the two numbers that I will add to get a positive 2 means that the bigger number must be a positive number. That's the only way I'll be able to get 2 plus 2. So between 6 and 4, which one is the bigger number? Is 6. So because this is plus 2, 6 must be a positive number. That is why I now know that the minus should be with a smaller number. Since I'm looking for minus 24 when I multiply, whether it is in the bigger number or in the smaller number, as long as there is minus in one of them, once you multiply, you will get minus 24. But that's not the case here. Here, that I'm adding, the bigger number must be positive, and the bigger number here is 6. That is how I knew that minus should be with the 4. So we've gotten these two numbers to be 6 and minus 4. So all we need to do is to open two brackets, place our x in both of them. Now take the first number plus 6. The second number is minus 4. When we take the first bracket, to give us x equal to minus 6, because this 6 will cross the equality sign. And for this, it will give us x equal to 4, because the minus 4 crossing the equality sign becomes positive. So in this equation, x is equal to minus 6 or 4. That is the final answer. I hope you've learned how to solve quadratic equation using the factorization method. In our next video, we'll focus on using the formula method in solving quadratic equation. Until then, stay out of trouble. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.